Coronation Street star Jodie Prenger has exclusively revealed that there is finally a romance on the horizon for Glenda Shuttleworth. Rover's barmaid Glenda hasn't had the best of luck when it comes to love, with her last relationship with Michael Bailey fizzling out within a month. But her fortune is soon set to change, as actress Jodie is due to begin filming scenes involving a romantic interest for Glenda. There is something in the offing, the star exclusively told Inside Soap. There is something, but I can't say too much. I think we might be filming that shortly. Glenda wouldn't be the only Shuttleworth to be shot by Cupid's arrow in recent times, as her brother George is currently head over heels for his girlfriend, Christina. To start with, Glenda was suspicious of Christina, who schemed to steal cash from Rover's landlady, Jenny, only a year ago. Nowadays, Glenda and Christina share the same friendship group, but according to Jodie, her character's reservations haven't entirely disappeared. I do think Glenda might have a few questions about Christina still, explained Jodie. And Glenda is going to be proven right to a certain degree in the coming weeks, maybe not in the way you would think. That said, Glenda has more pressing matters on her mind right now, as her best friend, Debbie, continues to battle with young-onset dementia. Glenda is breaking inside, Jodie shared. She doesn't want to lose her best mate. And I'm going to miss Sue Devaney, who plays Debbie, so much. I feel genuinely upset because I love the bones of the woman. The lights of the Rover's return glowed against the damp Weatherfield evening, casting warm gold onto the cobbles. Inside, laughter bounced between the walls, pints clinked together, and somewhere near the jukebox, someone was murdering an old Whitney Houston song. Behind the bar, Coronation Street favorite Glenda Shuttleworth wiped down the counter with dramatic flair. Honestly, if I hear one more person sing I Wanna Dance with Somebody, I'll personally unplug the machine, she groaned. You said that 3 singers ago, Carla Connor replied dryly. Glenda rolled her eyes. And I meant it every time. Despite the usual chaos, there was something different about Glenda lately. Even the regulars had noticed. She seemed brighter somehow, smiling to herself, humming while polishing glasses, checking her phone every few minutes with a grin she tried very hard to hide. Of course, in Weatherfield, secrets lasted about as long as a cream cake in the factory canteen. Sean Tully leaned over the bar dramatically. Right, I'm saying it now. There is definitely a man. Glenda gasped. Excuse me. There's a sparkle, Sean insisted. You've got romantic sparkle. I have indigestion. You've changed your perfume, Mary Taylor added suspiciously. That means nothing. And you've started wearing lipstick at breakfast, Mary continued. Glenda froze. Sean pointed triumphantly. Ha! Guilty. Before she could defend herself, the pub door swung open. A tall man stepped inside, rainwater dripping from his dark coat. He looked around uncertainly before spotting Glenda. The second he smiled, her entire face lit up. Sean nearly fell off his stool. Oh my days, he whispered. The man approached the bar. Evening, Glenda. Hiya, Dominic, she replied, suddenly shy. Shy. Glenda Shuttleworth never got shy. George Shuttleworth walked in from the back room carrying boxes and stopped dead. Who's this? Glenda straightened immediately. George, this is Dominic. Dominic, this is my brother George, undertaker, professional warrior, and part-time interrogator. Dominic laughed politely and offered a hand. Nice to meet you. George shook it cautiously. Too cautiously. Sean and Mary exchanged looks. This was better than television. Dominic ordered a lager and sat near the bar while Glenda served customers, though she kept sneaking glances toward him. Every time he smiled back, she looked like a teenager with her first crush. And honestly, it terrified her. Because Glenda Shuttleworth had spent years pretending heartbreak didn't bother her. Cruise ship romances, charming musicians, smooth-talking chefs, every relationship had ended the same way. She was always the fun one. The loud one. The woman men flirted with but never truly stayed for. Until Dominic. She'd met him 2 weeks earlier at the community center after Little Big Shot's rehearsal. He'd been fixing the sound system for a local charity event, muttering under his breath while wires tangled around his feet. Glenda had laughed so hard she snorted tea through her nose. Somehow, that became coffee. Then dinner. Then long walks through Weatherfield where they talked about everything and nothing. And now here he was, standing inside her world. Which suddenly made it all feel real. Later that evening, the pub quietened down. Carla disappeared upstairs, the music softened, and only a few regulars remained. Glenda finally joined Dominic at his table. "You survived meeting my brother," she sighed. "Barely. I think he was deciding where to bury me." She laughed loudly enough to turn heads. "There she is," Dominic smiled. That laugh. Glenda looked down bashfully. "You know," he continued, "you're very different from what I expected." "Oh, this should be good." "No, I mean it nicely." He leaned closer. "Everyone says you're the life and soul of the party. And you are. But underneath all that, you're actually quite soft." Glenda blinked. Nobody ever said things like that to her. Not seriously. For a moment, the noise of the pub faded completely. Then George appeared beside them like a storm cloud. "Glenda, can I have a word?" She groaned. "George. Private word." Dominic smiled awkwardly. "It's all right. I'll grab another drink." The second he walked away, George folded his arms. "I don't trust him." "Oh, not this again. You barely know him." "I know enough." George lowered his voice. "You always fall too quickly." That hit harder than Glenda expected. Her expression dropped instantly. "Well, thanks for the support. I'm trying to protect you." "No," she snapped quietly, "you're trying to stop me getting hurt before anything's even happened." George softened immediately. But Glenda continued. "You know what everyone sees when they look at me? Entertainment. The funny woman behind the bar. Somebody who sings karaoke and tells daft stories." Her eyes glistened. "Dominic actually listens to me." George's face fell with guilt. "I just don't want you upset. And I don't want to spend my life scared." The silence between them stretched painfully before George finally sighed. "If he hurts you, I'll bury him for free." Glenda burst out laughing through her tears. "That's the sweetest thing you've ever said." Across the room, Dominic watched them carefully. Not intruding. Not demanding attention. Just waiting. And somehow that mattered more than grand gestures ever could. Later, after closing time, Glenda walked him to the pub door. Rain still shimmered on the cobbles outside. "You don't have to keep seeing me if your brother hates me," Dominic joked. "Oh please. George hates everybody." Dominic smiled. Then, more seriously, he said, "I like you, Glenda. Properly." Her heart skipped. At her age, she thought those butterflies were supposed to disappear. Apparently not. "You make me feel," she searched for the words. "Calm." Which is weird because usually I'm one minor inconvenience away from screaming. He laughed softly. Then he reached for her hand. "Maybe that's because you don't have to perform around me." The vulnerability in that moment frightened her more than anything. But instead of pulling away, Glenda squeezed his hand back. From inside the pub window, Sean and Mary were shamelessly spying. "Oh, this is big," Sean whispered. Mary dabbed emotional tears from her eyes. Outside, Dominic leaned in slowly. Glenda smiled before kissing him first. Warm. gentle, real. And for the first time in a very long while, Glenda Shuttleworth allowed herself to believe this romance might actually last. As the rain fell over Coronation Street, even the famous cobbles seemed softer somehow. Because in a place filled with heartbreak, betrayal, and endless drama, sometimes the biggest surprise of all was finding love when you'd almost stopped looking for it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Crown ST.